one of the most misunderstood teachings ever spoken. Few teachings of Jesus have created more confusion than these two words, born again. For centuries, people have debated what this phrase means. Some interpret it as a religious conversion. Others see it as a symbolic spiritual awakening. Some treat it emotionally. Others treat it doctrinally. But beneath all interpretations remains a deeper question. Why did Jesus describe transformation as birth? Not improvement, not education, not behavior modification. Birth, because birth is not adjustment. Birth is emergence into an entirely different mode of being. And perhaps this is why the teaching still feels mysterious today. Because Jesus was not merely describing becoming morally better. He was describing a transformation in consciousness itself. Why Jesus chose the word birth? Birth is irreversible. Once something is born, cannot return to its previous state. This is important because Jesus does not describe spiritual awakening as adding information to the old self. He describes it as emergence into a new perception. Birth also implies transition, a movement from one environment into another, from darkness into visibility, from enclosure into openness, from unconscious existence into conscious participation. The unborn child exists, but does not yet perceive the world directly. Then suddenly, everything changes. Light, sound, space, awareness. This metaphor suggests that most human beings may live spiritually asleep, without realizing it, and born again points toward awakening from that sleep. The conversation with Nicodemus. The teaching appears in one of the most mysterious conversations in the New Testament. A religious scholar named Nicodemus approaches Jesus privately at night. This detail matters. Night often symbolizes incomplete understanding. Nicodemus asks sincere questions, yet struggles to understand. When Jesus says, "Unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God," Nicodemus interprets physically. How can someone enter the womb a second time? But Jesus speaks symbolically, not about physical rebirth, but transformed perception. Notice the wording carefully. Cannot see the kingdom. Again, the issue is perception, not distance, not location, sight. This repeats across many teachings of Jesus. The problem is not absence of truth, but inability to perceive it clearly. Why born again is about consciousness. Most people assume they are fully awake, yet much of life is automatic. Automatic thought, automatic reaction, automatic emotion, automatic identity. People repeat patterns for years without questioning them. Fear shapes behavior unconsciously. Social conditioning shapes belief unconsciously. Desire shapes perception unconsciously. This is mechanical existence, and spiritual awakening interrupts that machinery. A person begins observing thought rather than being controlled entirely by it, begins questioning identity, begins noticing inner contradiction, begins seeing conditioning. This shift feels like awakening because perception changes fundamentally. The world looks the same externally, yet internally everything feels different. The difference between information and transformation. Many people collect spiritual information, books, quotes, teachings, concepts, but information alone does not transform consciousness. A person can discuss peace while remaining inwardly chaotic, can speak about love while ruled by fear, can memorize teachings without experiencing them directly. This is why born again is not intellectual. It is experiential. The difference between reading about sunlight and stepping into it. Why the old self resists rebirth. Birth is difficult because identity resists change. The mind builds a familiar self-image. Beliefs, roles, attachments, stories, and anything threatening that structure creates discomfort. This is why transformation often feels painful before liberating. The old self senses instability. Certainty begins dissolving. Long-held assumptions weaken. A person may feel lost temporarily, but this disorientation often precedes clarity. because something false is being dismantled. Water and spirit, the hidden symbolism. Jesus speaks of being born of water and spirit. These symbols have layers. Water often represents cleansing, fluidity, renewal. Spirit represents breath, life, invisible movement. Together they suggest inner purification and awakening, not merely external ritual, but transformation of perception itself. Water dissolves rigidity. Spirit animates awareness. Thus, rebirth becomes both cleansing and illumination. Why most people fear awakening. Awakening sounds attractive in theory, but real awakening changes perception permanently. A person may begin questioning career, relationships, identity, priorities, belief systems. This creates uncertainty, and many prefer familiar suffering over unfamiliar freedom. Sleep feels safer than awakening, because awakening demands responsibility. One can no longer blame entirely outwardly once unconscious patterns become visible. The signs of spiritual rebirth. What changes when a person becomes born again inwardly? Not perfection, but perception. A person becomes less reactive, more aware, less controlled by fear, more present, less fragmented. There is greater stillness, greater clarity, greater sensitivity to truth. Compulsion weakens, attention deepens. The person begins responding more consciously rather than mechanically. Why the kingdom appears after rebirth. Jesus connects rebirth with seeing the kingdom, because the kingdom is not merely external territory. It is a state of perception. The awakened person begins noticing depth where others see only surface, presence where others see emptiness, meaning where others see randomness. The kingdom was not absent before. Perception was. Why rebirth is ongoing. Birth is a beginning, not completion. Awareness deepens gradually. Layer after layer of conditioning becomes visible. Fear continues dissolving. Attention continues refining. The process is ongoing awakening. Not one emotional moment, but continual clarification. The real meaning of born again. Perhaps this is why Jesus chose such radical language. Because true transformation is not small adjustment. It is emergence into another way of seeing. The old perception fades, a clearer awareness begins, and the person realizes the kingdom was never truly absent, only unseen. And to be born again may ultimately mean awakening from unconscious existence into conscious life itself.